2, 1. 96.7 KCAL rocks. It is your Monday, which means we do a little bit of sports with our guy, Pep. Pep, what's going on?
Hey, and we're talking a little bit of sports. We're talking lots of NFL football. We had our first weekend of NFL preseason football. And guys, we had the Rams versus the Chargers preseason action. Whether it's 2021, 2022, starters or backups, doesn't matter. It looks like the Rams are still better than the Chargers. The Rams won 29-22. Their backups look pretty good, and he's a receiver named Lance McCutcheon, maybe a breakout star for the Rams at wide receiver. I don't know. He had 2 touchdowns. One of them was a great touchdown catch. So if you're a Rams fan, even though they were backups, still a promising start to see some of the younger guys and backup guys looking pretty good out there.
It is tough to watch preseason for me, but it is the one cool thing is you do get to see your really young players and see if they have anything, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there were teams out there that did play some starters in like the first or, couple series. Yeah. So there was a little bit of action out there where you could see some starters. But really, if you have your team, the players on your team, preseason's rough to talk about with other fans, though, because it's like they don't know your 4th receiver versus their 3rd tight end. Like, it's hard to talk about, but it's a ramp up to football at least.
Yeah.
No, you guys both bring up great points. And going back to like the younger players that we get to see during the preseason. Now, these 2 guys I'm about to mention, they are still younger players, although they've already been in the league for a little bit. Trey Lance, the quarterback for the 49ers, and Jordan Love, the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. They went head-to-head in preseason action. That was probably one of the more intriguing matchups we had in preseason play. 49ers won 28-21, but Trey Lance, in his limited time, he looked pretty good. I can see why my 49ers are going with Trey Lance. I know it's a short little sample size, but he looked good. He had a big touchdown throw.
I have to agree because I had to watch the 49ers game to see how badly I'm going to get my head kicked in this year by the 49ers, and Trey Lance did look a lot better than I've ever seen him look. He does look like he adds another dimension to the 49ers with those legs, and he was throwing pretty decently. I know it was a short thing, but it was like, I kind of see what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still no real word about what is going on with Garoppolo yet. Still kind of waiting to see.
Are they waiting for Deshaun Watson for that hammer to finally drop? Geez, we're still dealing with that.
Yeah, you know what? And I think this will all come to a head very, very soon because the 49ers don't want Garoppolo on the roster when that first game rolls around because they're going to owe him a bunch more money. So they're going to have to do something. And I think they're hoping, the Deshaun Watson thing something will happen there. Maybe it'll determine where Garoppolo, if he goes to Cleveland, and if it's not going to be Cleveland, then, where's it going to be? Because, we go through the preseason, guys. Players are getting cut right and left. Like there might be a spot out there, even as a backup. Maybe there's going to be a spot for Jimmy G out there. Where it's still hard to say right now.
Oh, dude, if you need a backup and you can get him, I mean, obviously the contract must be part of it. Mm-hmm. I would take Jimmy G in a heartbeat. I'd take him as a starter, right?
Yeah, I mean he's that good. And on the flip side of that game, we're talking about Jordan Love, the backup for the Packers. Maybe that's why the Packers are still holding on to Aaron Rodgers as long as they can because Jordan Love maybe is not the guy or he's just not ready yet. I mean, he had some moments, but definitely he didn't look like Trey Lance.
I get the same feeling about Danny Dimes in New York. They just don't. Not everybody has it, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know we were going to go Daniel Jones in this conversation, but we just did. Maybe Jimmy G will be with the New York Giants. Who knows? That could be a possibility.
It's going to have to be plug and play at some point because the season's going to start.
Yeah.
Hey, we're talking about young guys here in the preseason, but what about the old guys? And Patrick, you probably watch this game with the Broncos if you wanted to see Russell Wilson not play. But Josh Johnson, the backup quarterback for the Broncos, he's 36, but he's on his 14th NFL team, and he actually looked really good in that game against the Cowboys. The Broncos won 17-7, but Josh Johnson, 14 different NFL teams, he's still in the NFL, he's still collecting a paycheck, and he can still get it done.
40, we were just talking about another, his name is escaping me right now, but to be a backup quarterback in the league, it's not a bad living and not a lot of miles on the body either.
I mean, they showed Josh Johnson the graphic that lists all his teams, and it's teams other than other NFL or football teams, not all NFL teams. It is just 2 columns long of just team names,
just journeymen to the max.
Yeah. The poster boy for holding a clipboard and making a very, very good living, I would say, is Chase Daniel, right? The backup quarterback for the LA Chargers behind Justin Herbert.
That's it.
He's getting good money, and when he goes in, he can still get it done too. Like, he is a very serviceable backup. Like, he can play quarterback in the NFL if called upon. But man, he's collecting a nice paycheck to wear a headset, hold a clipboard, maybe bring in some signs. But he's making a nice living. I wish I could be Chase Daniel, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, a quick shout out to Raider Nation out there, man. You guys beat the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. It was a lone Sunday afternoon game across the NFL. The Raiders won 26-20. But again, as we preface all these games, not a lot of starters seeing action, if any. And, I don't know how much weight these preseason games carry unless you want to see these young guys, see some action and see what you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, NFL action to Major League Baseball. The Dodgers had won 12 in a row, and that winning streak actually came to a close yesterday in Kansas City. The Dodgers finally lost by a score of 4-0, but 12 wins in a row. We've talked about this over and over. We sound like a broken record at this point, but the Dodgers really do look like the team to beat. They're playing their best baseball of the season, and if you're the Padres, things are just basically unraveling on their season. They're falling farther and farther in the rearview mirror to the Dodgers, and now Fernando Tatis Jr. has not only lost for the rest of this year, but also the beginning of next year because of using a performance-enhancing drug that he said he took for ringworm, guys.
Yeah, of course he did. Heartbreaker for him to do that to the Padres and his team. They really needed him, and he's kind of the spark of their team. He's the only player that my kids care about, and now he's out for 80 games.
Was his rehab from injury wrestling or something like that? Like, how do you get ringworm going all
Well,
the time?
see, he's had a funky offseason. I mean, remember his wrist was broken or whatever, and they didn't know what happened, and then it found out that he had a motorcycle crash. So it's been a rough one for him.
Yeah, I think the Padres front office are having a hard time believing anything that comes from Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
And we were so excited about this because we thought, okay, if the Padres are going to have a realistic chance of ever dethroning the Dodgers, it was probably this year because you go out and get Juan Soto right before the trade deadline. You've got Manny Machado, who's having a career year. Of course, Fernando Tatis Jr., when he's healthy, is one of the best players in all of baseball. You got great pitchers, and yet the Padres are falling farther and farther back in the National League West. That the Dodgers are just going to run away and hide. They're going to be the team to beat in the NL, no doubt.
Yeah.
So crazy what's going on in baseball right now. And finally, guys, a little NBA talk, and I want to get your take on this. So the NBA reportedly will have on opening night on October 18th, the first night of NBA basketball, they will have the Lakers on the road at Golden State. And at that game, G-State, the Dubs, will have their big NBA championship ceremony with the rings and the banners and all the pomp and circumstance. I don't think it's by chance that they have the Lakers going up there to have to stand there and watch this whole thing go down in San Francisco.
Gosh, do we know anything about this Lakers team? I mean, what is this going to look like?
I mean, unfortunately, I think we know it's going to have Russell Westbrook on it, so not fun to watch.
Do we have any hope?
The only two things, we haven't heard a lot, guys. And Patrick, you're right. Do they have any hope? We've heard just a little, reports of this and that coming out that Russell Westbrook's going to shoot more three-pointers from the corner, and that's going to fix everything. And then we heard that new head coach Darvin Ham will have the power to bench Westbrook when he wants, or maybe not have him in the starting lineup. So Westbrook's going to be there, but how do they use him? Is he the sixth man of the year, or is he going to be purely a three-point shooter from the corner? Like, how are they going to make this work? That's a great question. We're going to find out October 18th when they go up to Golden State and the Warriors are showing off their brand new championship rings. We'll find out then.
I mean, hopefully they can use that as some of that poster board material that the teams always talk about. Like, look, these guys are bringing us up there to accept their rings right in front of us. Like, maybe that could somehow jumpstart this team into something for next year.
Well, yeah, and the little championship ring battle going on between Steph and LeBron, all that stuff. Hopefully they can do something, but I don't have a good feeling. And it looks like no one has a good feeling.
Yeah.
Anywhere close to here, Pep, tell them how to get your stuff.
Get my stuff. It's Inland Sports. Subscribe to the Inland Sports YouTube channel. You can also find us all over social media, Instagram, Twitter. Still do a little bit of Facebook. That is Inland Sports.
Thanks, Pep.
Awesome, bro.